Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, I've been meaning to do this story now for a while. It's actually a very important story. In Europe, it is everything. Here in the United States, it's now gaining serious traction. Because we are now, especially here in the Northeast, under an absolutely sweltering heat wave. From Boston to New York City to Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., the entire Northeast, we are now, it's a sauna out there. It's a dangerous heat wave. Apparently, it's going to end Saturday night. I'm just going by what meteorologists are saying. So please, everybody out there, I want everyone to have a wonderful 4th of July weekend, but be careful, especially the elderly, the more vulnerable, the disabled. Please watch over your neighbors, because it is in these kinds of heat waves, tragically, that people die. They die for all sorts of reasons, but many of them either don't have air conditioning, or the power may go off because there's a power surge, or people are neglected, and the heat overwhelms them, and there's nobody there to take care of them. Now, what is absolutely remarkable is in Europe, they've now been, it's about a good 2 weeks. They are now enduring one of the most intense heat waves in recent decades. And the Europeans, going back a long time, this is nothing new. This has been going on for at least 100 and 150 years. Periodically, we'll get scorching, absolutely scorching temperatures, way above 100, and with no relief in sight. No rain, no cooling temperatures at night. Now, what is remarkable is that in France, the left wing in France has made it very difficult for most French citizens to buy or acquire air conditioning. Paris in particular, good luck finding an AC unit. So just in this heat wave alone, there is over 1,500 deaths. People literally dying because of excess heat. In Britain, it is illegal. In order to fight climate change, this is all part of the quote-unquote green ideology. In Britain, it is illegal to have an AC unit in your home or in your office. And if you do have an AC unit, the police will come to your house, like the eco-green Nazi Gestapo, and they will rip the AC unit out of your home, and you will be fined. I mean, massively fined. And if you try to obstruct them from taking your AC unit, you will actually go to jail. Now, the result is, in an average heat wave across Europe, I'm giving you France and England as the biggest examples, but for example, Germany has all but banned ACs. You have Norway, Denmark, Sweden, many of the Northern European countries, progressive, very much on the green environmentalist agenda. They have also practically banned AC. Not completely, but very low AC use and AC consumption. In a typical heat wave in Europe, I want you to listen to this, 61,000 Europeans die. 61,000. Many of them, frankly, elderly. Take Paris, as I said, about 1,500 deaths now and counting. Many of them are older people who live in apartments, old apartments, and the heat is too much for them. And literally, they bake to death. Or people who are disabled. And what you see in Paris is in the River Seine, which is one of their famous rivers, you just see Parisians jumping into the river, swimming. Going into fountains, and they just drench themselves in water. Whatever they can do to refresh themselves and stay cool. Well, if you're 85, 90 years old, you can't do that. If you're disabled and you're in a wheelchair, you can't do that. Babies sometimes are left in a room. The parents go to sleep. It is so hot, the baby is dead the next morning. And what is shocking is that Europeans will put up with these excess deaths. This is all completely and utterly unnecessary. And the reason why they put up with it is because they have been indoctrinated by their ruling elites, led by the European Union, but it's the left in general, in country after country, that air conditioning is dangerous, that air conditioning is an existential threat to the planet, that air conditioning is something to be ashamed of. According to the many on the European left, European liberals, they say that it's a needless self-indulgence. And by emitting so much CO2 and consuming so much power, electricity, is emitting all of this carbon dioxide and greenhouse gas emissions that they say is threatening the planet itself. In fact, they say it's the use of air conditioning that is leading to these record temperatures and causing so-called global warming. Okay, even though there's no evidence for that. And so it's almost a point of pride among European liberals. I swear to you. Yeah, we're sweating like pigs. It's sweltering. We're incredibly uncomfortable. In fact, people are dying. They're dropping like flies, especially the elderly, the vulnerable, and some babies. But we're not like you Americans who are consuming so much electricity and, having the AC on, blasting it at 72 or 70 or 68 or whatever people have their thermostat to, because we care about the planet and you don't. A sane policy, a rational, sane response would be, if people are dying from excess heat, if it's causing death and discomfort on a massive scale, then put on the AC. Get an air conditioner, have a unit installed in your house, cool yourself off, and stay comfortable and live. Hello. It's not that hard. And what I was shocked as I was doing research and show prep for the show, I had no idea the deaths in Europe to heat waves, excess heat, or excess cold, because they also save on energy by keeping apartments cool and limiting heat in the wintertime. So you also have the exact opposite. In the wintertime, thousands of Europeans will die from excess cold. Again, the elderly, the vulnerable, again, children, because they want to save energy, stop greenhouse gas emissions, stop CO2. And so, the apartments, you're freezing in the wintertime. You combine the excess deaths, listen to this, from excessive heat or excessive cold. It is way more, it's not even close, than the homicide deaths by guns in the United States. European green ideology kills more people in France, individually. I'm talking not collectively. I'm not saying you add all these European countries together. I'm saying in France alone, more people die because of climate deaths, i.e. they're, roasting and sweltering and they die in the heat, in a heat wave, or in the wintertime when it's cold and they won't put the heater on, than Americans killed by guns every single year. And that's the same for England. That's the same for Germany. That's the same for Italy. That's the same for the Northern European countries. So they are so fanatically pro-green and pro-radically environmentalist that they are willing to allow thousands of their own citizens to bake to death, to die, at rates Forget our gun violence. And the Europeans are always, lifting their noses and pointing their fingers, wagging, oh, look at you Americans. How dare you allow these guns to kill people in America? You won't even put in a freaking air conditioner. You just put in air conditioning, and that's going to save 90 to 95% of all these people from dying. The scary part is that Mamdani, the radical left, the Democratic Socialists of America, the radical eco-fascists who have now captured the Democratic Party, are now calling for the same European green ideology to be imposed here in America. And as we're now about to enter a mother heat wave, in fact, we're in it for at least the next couple days, you know what the left's answer now is in America? Take away your AC. I'm just curious. 6:19, almost 6:20 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. We're on the eve of the 4th of July, 250th anniversary birthday. No show tomorrow. It's a holiday. And, of course, Saturday is the 4th. And one of the things we fought our Revolutionary War over was the right to life, liberty, and, yes, the pursuit of happiness. To be happy, or at least to try to be happy. And to me, I'm telling you right now, in the midst of a freaking heat wave, I'm very happy when the AC is on. Nothing makes me happier than, like, at this moment right now in the studio that that we broadcast from. I've got it at 7-0, my friends. 7-0. Okay? I could go down to 68. To me, it's a little bit too cold at 68. But at the house, we keep it at about 72, 73 degrees. Grace finds it cold if I go anything lower than 73. But here in my studio where I'm broadcasting from, 70 degrees. We got the AC cranked, and I'm comfortable. I'm happy. I'm not sweating like a pig. I'm not sweltering. I'm not getting dehydrated. To me, there is nothing wrong with air conditioning. It is one of the greatest inventions ever made. And that the Europeans are either making it illegal or strongly discouraging people from using AC in the midst of heat wave after heat wave after heat wave over the last 2-3 decades, meaning that they're willing to have people die by the thousands in the name of, Gaia, Mother Earth, and this hoax of man-made climate change and global warming. To me, it's diabolical. And to show you how insane it's now gotten in Europe, and I'm going to come here because the left now wants what the Europeans have imposed on their poor people over there. Now they want to do it to us. The deputy mayor of Paris, you can look this up because this is so crazy. You're going to say, Jeff, there's no way she said this. Okay, you're exaggerating for dramatic effect. Okay. Audrey Pulvar. You can look it up. Pulvar. She's the deputy mayor of Paris for international relations. By the way, why does Paris have a deputy mayor for international relations? Okay, but let that go. The deputy mayor of Paris actually blamed us. That's right, the United States, America, for the heat wave now that is consuming Europe, not just France, but all of Western Europe. And so this is what she wrote. Listen, she's lecturing us. This is what she wrote on social media. Quote, "Dear American journalists and social media influencers, for days, some of you have been criticizing and making fun of Paris because the city does not have AC in every room. OMG, this is so rich," wrote Pulvar. Okay, this is what she writes on social media. By the way, forget having AC in every room. They don't have AC in any room. There's no AC. In most homes, most apartment buildings, there's no AC. By the way, you know who does have AC? She does. The mayor of Paris, Macron, the president of France, he's got AC. You see, the politicians, they have AC. Their wealthy donors, the globalists, they have AC. You think they're sweating their asses off in this, in 105, 110 degree, they use Celsius, we use Fahrenheit, but I'm just giving you the Fahrenheit conversion. 105, 107, 110, 112 degrees weather. No, they've got that AC cranked up in their offices, I guarantee you. That's for the peasants to swelter and to suffer. Okay, but anyway, she continues. As the second largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions in the world, that means us, the United States, you bear a significant amount of responsibility for global warming and the consequences we in France are experiencing. Your cities, which are 90% air conditioned, yeah, God bless America, are not unrelated to this. So, according to her, we French, we may be literally dying from the heat, dropping like flies. Every day, 10, 15 people, 20 people are found dead in a Paris apartment or in a home because they wouldn't have, they're not allowed to have AC or they were told not to put in AC. But we're virtuous. We care about the planet. You greedy, selfish Americans, with your creature comforts, you don't care. And because of you, because you have AC, it's causing more global warming, which is making us bake. We're roasting because of you. They're literally blaming us for their heat wave. And by the way, Europe has always had heat waves. There is nothing new about what's happening now. This is nothing related to man-made climate change or man-made global warming. The Europeans have had heat wave after heat wave. So the question now is this. Okay, this is how insane they've gotten in Europe. Should we follow Europe? Should we now start banning air conditioning or removing AC from people's homes or units from their apartments? Or should we allow politicians to start telling us, leftists, communists, Democrats, how high or how low we can set a thermostat in our own home? So, we've talked a lot about the rise of the communist left, Mamdani socialists who really are communists. And by the way, they're self-avowed communists. What I find amazing is if you watch This is CNN, they're like, where are the Republicans and Trump getting this idea that the socialists are communists? Where are they getting this idea? Well, A, have you looked at their platform? That's number one. And number two, they say themselves that they're communists. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Now, we've talked about they want to seize and confiscate private property, that they want to abolish prisons, all of them, let murderers and rapists loose. I'm not kidding. Abolish police, abolish ICE, abolish the border. They want to give complete amnesty immediately to every single illegal alien. They want to completely reopen the border. They want Medicare for all. They want to nationalize most industries. I could go on and on and on. They want a trans bill of rights where we, the taxpayers, have to pay for the gender mutilation and sex change operations of children, whether we like it or not. I mean, I could go on and on and on, okay? But one of the things that has been lost is they're also what are called watermelon socialists or watermelon communists, meaning they're green on the outside, as in environmentalist green, and communist red on the inside. part of their radical agenda is not just the Green New Deal, but they want to do what they've done in Europe. They want to ultimately ban all fossil fuels. Okay, that goes without saying. But they want to ban, for our purposes, air conditioning. They want to come into your home, if you have centralized AC, as I do, rip out the centralized AC unit. If you live in an apartment and you have an AC unit, they want to take it, physically confiscate and take it away from you. Because they say we're killing the planet, that we're being selfish, that we're being excessively self-indulgent and materialistic by wanting to, not die in a heat wave. Furthermore, if they can't quite get you to give up your AC, they now are going to start ordering you, dictating, telling us what temperature we can have on our thermostat, either during a heat wave or, for example, during a snowstorm or a cold streak in the wintertime. Because they claim we have to limit CO2 emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, and that means use less energy, okay, especially traditional sources of energy. And so what they're trying to do is they want us to suffer. Now, listen to the communist mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. As you know, look, again, and I want to stress this, okay, all kidding aside, I'm getting nothing but advisories on my phone for Boston and Massachusetts. Huge heat wave. It's very intense. Stay indoors if you can. Stay hydrated. Watch out for your neighbors, especially people who are elderly or vulnerable, because we are going to cook. The next couple days, you are going to see blistering, sweltering heat. So please, everybody, be cautious, be careful. But it's New York. As I said, it's going all the way down to Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington. These are almost record temperatures. It's hot, okay? Mamdani, what he should be telling the people of New York, if I was the mayor, make sure you have fans on. If you have AC, make sure it's at a level that you're comfortable. I don't care what it is, 73, 72, 70, 68, or whatever. I'm not going to tell you but make sure you have plenty of air conditioning, because that is one of the most effective ways to fight heat, excessive heat. And it will save your life. And please drink a lot of water. And try to avoid going outside as much as you can. Or if you are outside, if you have a pool, okay, but make sure you're in the pool. Because this heat can catch you quick. Okay, please, in other words, be careful. No. Listen now to the Zoran. Listen now to the commie. He holds a press conference with the entire New York media there. And now he tells every single New Yorker, every single business owner, no. I don't want you to be cool and comfortable. No, you've got to set your thermostat. Listen to this. You want to know how high? Roll cut 27. Mike.
And to every business owner, please set your thermostats to 78 degrees to alleviate the stress on our power grid.
Set to 78 degrees to alleviate the stress on our power grid? 78, basically saying 80. Okay, let's not mince words. So he's basically saying 78, 80. I'm going to bake in 78. I'm going to bake at 80 degrees. I mean, at this point, seriously, as I said to Mike this morning when we were doing the pre-show meeting, Mike, might as well just say, keep it at 90. To protect the power grid. Keep it at 90. First of all, who the hell is he to tell me or any New Yorker or anyone, any American, what I should put my thermostat at? No. Don't talk to me about the power grid. We have more than enough power in this country. You are the ones. It's you on the left, you Democrats, you socialists, you communists, in the name of fighting quote-unquote climate change. You are the ones that have us on solar power, that have us on windmills. You're the ones that keep blocking oil pipeline and gas pipeline after gas pipeline and oil pipeline. We have enough energy. We could keep it at 68, no problem in this country. You're the ones that are weakening our power grid. And now, after weakening our power grid, and by the way, driving our energy costs through the roof, okay? In other words, bankrupting or impoverishing middle working class Americans, because we dare to be, comfortable in the wintertime, have it, our home or apartment heated, or to be cool in the summertime because we want to put on the AC. Now you're telling me that I have to keep it at 78? No, you keep it at 78. Now, as I said to Mike, Mike, don't take this bet because you're going to lose it. I will bet you, forget the best steak at the best steakhouse. I'll bet you my house. Okay, the whole thing. I'll bet you my house. There's no way in hell that Mamdani has the thermostat in his office or in his home at 78 degrees. All right? This guy, he's got it 71, 70, 69. No. It's 78 for you. It's 78 for me. It's not 78 for him. That I can tell you. This guy's not going to be sweating like a pig because, he likes to wear suits and the tie and the whole bit and act like a clown. This guy's not going to be dripping in sweat. No. He's going to have it at a cool 68, 69, 70 degrees. And by the way, so are all of his commie friends. And so are all these Democrat politicians and their billionaire donors. No. They're not going to set their thermostat at 78. You phony, you fraud, you. But this is what green ideology and so-called climate change does. That's why the left loves it. They can't give it up. Even though now the evidence shows it's a complete fake and a complete fraud. Because it gives them power and control over every aspect of our lives. What cars we can drive? Eventually, they've told us they don't even want us in a car. They'd rather us that we take public transportation or ride around on a bike. Whether we can eat meat, what kind of light bulb we use, how much power we can use in our own home, how much heat, whether we can even have AC. I mean, think about how they want absolute control and dominance over the most intimate aspects of our lives. All in the name of, quote, fighting climate change, fighting global warming, quote unquote. It's the ultimate totalitarian power grab. And this loser now has the gall in the midst of a heat wave to tell especially elderly people or, let's say, more overweight people or more vulnerable people, no, 78. That's all I'm going to give you, 78. And if you sweat and if you're uncomfortable, okay, let's go to Chris in Germany. Before I do, let me ask all of you. So what do you think Zoran Mamdani's air conditioning is set at? I want to ask all of you. He says we should all set ours at 78. You think his is set at 78? Huh? If you believe that, I've got some swampland in Florida you may be interested in. So, you see, AC for me, but not for thee. Or as some of you are texting in, heat for you, but not for me. All right, speaking of a country that discourages AC, Deutschland, Germany, Chris in Germany. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
Hello, Jeff. I'm Chris from Missouri, but now I'm Chris in Germany. Let me give it to you straight. Big heat last week. We made the mistake of trying to take a train to Frankfurt. Service on the train at Baseland, terrible now, terrible. Used to be good, now it's bad. On a good day. Okay, we had the heat wave. Train didn't work. They jammed people that should have been on two trains onto one train. Well, my wife and I are ugly Americans, so we got first class that had AC, or what they call AC, 70. It was probably 78, 80 degrees in there. People were jammed in the aisles. You couldn't go through the train. We had relatively good seats until the train came to a dead stop on the rails between towns. Didn't move, nothing, for about 1 hour. Well, they don't have a First Amendment here, so I got to be careful what I say. The culturally enriched people that were on the train started getting very, very, let's just say, upset. And they started to get agitated. And they realized that we had as what's called AC in first class, and we had a nice place. So they started to invade the first class section.
Really?
Yeah. And there was no authority there. I couldn't get to a conductor or any kind of authority because the aisles were jammed. I tried to go out of first class to tell somebody what was going on, and of course I was blocked and verbally harassed. I thought there was going to be a fight, so I turned and retreated back into our first class seats. It just got worse and worse. I didn't know what to. I told my wife, I said, we need to get prepared. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be an assault.
Oh, my God. Chris, so the migrants, you don't say anything. Let me just talk, because you're right. They don't have a First Amendment in Germany, and they are cracking down on any quote-unquote hate speech. So the migrants are on the train, along with, obviously, Germans. They can't stand it that they're in second class or whatever you want to call it. There's no AC whatsoever. It's 100 degrees plus outside. They're baking in there. Probably, jammed. Bodies are crushed up against each other. They're probably sweating, sweltering, maybe on the verge of passing out. Who knows? So they basically raid the first class compartment, which is really not first class because you got 80 degrees. That's what your AC is set at. So yeah, they call that air conditioning. I call that hot, but it's better than where they are. And you try to get a conductor because now they're basically, invading first class, and they're getting more aggressive, more bellicose, more militant, more loud, to the point that you think violence is going to erupt. There's no conductor in sight. Ay. Chris, please tell me that they didn't attack or assault anybody or throw people out of their seats, did they?
Oh, they were getting close. They started looking at my wife, and stuff, and saying stuff. And
Chris, were they talking in German or in English or in their native tongue?
German.
In German.
I can speak German. I said I was trying to be not as unconfrontational as I could. I just said, "Okay, are you okay? Is everything okay?" Or stuff like that. Finally, somebody came on the loudspeaker and said, people are asking for water. We don't have any water here. There's no water. And of course, that made it worse. Then people started opening the windows and smoking. You're not supposed to smoke on the trains anymore. And I thought, if something doesn't happen fast, we're in big trouble, because we couldn't have got out of the compartment. We were trapped in the compartment. I guess we could have broke the window and jumped out. But finally, the train started moving. Finally, we made it to the train station in Frankfurt about 3 hours late, and it wasn't. Jeff, it's been a long time since I've been through something like that, and it happened. The old saying, it happened fast. It happened fast, and it could have been bad.
Chris, I've got to ask you this. This is such an incredible call. I've been reading reports about Germany, but it's about France, England. It's the same trends are happening in all these major European countries. That Germany has gotten much poorer over the last 15 to 20 years because of this radical climate change agenda, that energy costs are so expensive, your energy bills, your utility bills, that I'm not kidding, it's wiping out the middle class. It's impoverishing the middle working class. And that the migrant situation has gotten so bad. Crime is everywhere, drugs, Islam, you name it, that Germany is becoming more dangerous, more crime-ridden. The streets are no longer safe. The cities are not safe. You don't even feel like you're in Germany anymore. Is that accurate from what the assessment you have on the ground now?
What you said is absolutely true. In the smaller towns, you can sort of feel like you're still here. But I would say 30% is really bad, and there's maybe a 40% that's kind of like it used to be. But everything you said is true, including they're not enforcing the rules. They're not enforcing the rules against,
I got you. Yeah, I'll say it. The migrants. I got you. Chris, are you living in Germany for work, or are you just there like as a tourist to visit?
Here, we'll be here about a month, and we're visiting friends. We talk a lot at night with a lot of different people. We have a very good grasp of the situation. Of course, we've always kept in touch with them. We have a very good grasp of the situation here.
What are your German friends, family members, what are they telling you about Deutschland? What are they telling you about Germany?
They are saying it's done, that it's over.
Really?
You guys just got to organize. You got to get together. There's more of you than them. You've got to get politically active, And the younger people too, I tell them, you can fix this problem, but you have to. But there's so many people that have just given up, or they're afraid to say anything, including even when we sit at night. I say stuff, and they're even if they agree with me, they're uncomfortable with what I'm saying, even though it's not. There's nothing, I'm not saying anything that's not true, So it's very interesting, I have to say at the least. But we watch ourselves more carefully here. People are dressing more, shall I say, less formal than they used to. They're more like more biker dress stuff, more multiple tattoos. You never saw that before. It's just, I don't know. I wish I had some. There's still nice places here, to go. We go nice places, but when you get on the streets, most places you see probably something you'd still see in downtown Boston, which I feel bad about because it used to not be that way.
Chris, are you ever going to go back to Germany after this trip?
I'm pausing. I really want to because I really like my friends. I like the culture.
I've been to Germany. I've been to Austria. It was a while ago, but look, there's a lot to see, and look, Germany has a lot to offer. Austria is a beautiful country. Parts of Germany are beautiful. Contrary to the myth in the media, the Germans are, or at least they used to, highly intelligent, highly cultured, highly educated people, wonderful people. I mean, they may seem a little bit cold at the beginning, but once you get to know them, they're actually very nice, very warm. No, I hear you. Look, Germany is one of the seminal civilizations in Europe, along with the Italians and the English and the French. I mean, I don't mean to disrespect anybody, but those are really the four seminal cultures of Europe. You can't deny it. Going back, 1,000 years or 1,500 years. So I understand. Of course, you'd love to go back to Germany. Wow. Chris, thank you so much for that call. You've laid it out, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. That's what we don't want to happen here. And the Europeans have really screwed themselves with open borders, mass migration, and this radical green communist ideology to the point, look, think about it. You know, it's almost like they're returning to primitive living conditions. Like, just think about it. No meat, no air conditioning. Like, so what? You're like going to swelter like a pig? Like, you know, sweat like a pig? And you know, die because of heat? Or, sorry, excess heat? We don't have to die because of excess heat. We have modern technology. Soon they're going to have us on a bike or take a bus. So we're returning to like primitive living conditions. And notice now, mass poverty. Increasingly, you're more and more poor. And look how they flood the country with migrants. And you invite the third world, you become the third world. Anthony in Michigan. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Dr. Kuhner, a blessing as always. Let me dovetail off your friend from Germany there for a moment. Have you heard about what's going on with Volkswagen?
No. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Apparently, they're not able to make cars or sell cars in Germany anymore. And so the Germans apparently now are becoming weapons manufacturers. I read this, I think, in the Wall Street Journal, that they're converting now to making weapons to build up their military and then to sell weapons to the Ukrainians to fight the Russians. But that Volkswagen is in big trouble in Deutschland. Am I wrong, Anthony? You know cars better than anybody.
Of is their inability to come up with an expensive EV platform, and they have no full self-drive autonomous solution. They just fired Bosch on that, and they're going to lay off 100,000 people. They may be the first of many legacy automobile manufacturers that are going to collapse. This has been predicted by the teardown titan, a guy here in Michigan called Sandy Monroe. He just sold his company. He's a reverse engineering guy. He's been warning the legacy automobile manufacturers that you're not going to survive because you don't have technological solutions. But that's a separate story. Let's get back to Mondami is not going on first principles. The most dirtiest vehicle on the planet, Jeff, is your cargo ships. They burn something called bunker C. The solution to that would be nuclear-powered ships. The second most dirtiest vehicle is semi-trucks with a diesel particulate. Elon's got a solution for that. Their semi-truck, which has just gone in production, and I've just heard that their first year of production is possibly 50,000 trucks is sold out. Now, the solution for New York is they could do a couple of things. They could frack upstate, pipe it down, build a couple 500 megawatt combined cycle gas plants, let's say up on the Hudson, and power New York City. They could buy some of Elon's mega packs to store the energy overnight. And the biggest one was they closed down Indian Point, Jeff, the nuclear power plant they were building on the Hudson before they finished it. This is all self-induced. You know, what's next? Is he going to ban Under Armour deodorant so they can all smell like communists? I mean, good Lord. Another thing, everybody on the East Coast is really big on heat pumps. Yeah, they're cool, but they don't have the ability to really take care of cold New England weather. A tangent item, Jeff, another solution, believe it or not, the cost for energy storage is dropping dramatically. And solar with energy storage for homeowners is really becoming reality. So all the things he's saying that we have to get rid of air conditioning, no. I'm just giving you what? 5 technological solutions? This is just about control, Jeff. You're spot on. I mean, from a first principles perspective, you know, and that governor, she's a raving loon. She's as bad as the one I got here. Why aren't they fracking upstate? They could be burning natural gas at a 60% efficiency on here, and it could be as high as 70 or 80 with these combined cycle
natural gas. Oh, you're dead
gas.
on. No, Anthony, you're dead on because they don't want to. You see, you nailed it. They don't want to. And look, remember what Klaus Schwab, he openly said it. He gave the game away to his credit. He said, our goal is to immiserate, in other words, to impoverish 90% of the world's population. You will own nothing, and you will be happy to own nothing. In other words, they're going to indoctrinate us, or at least attempt to brainwash us that it's all in our best interest. That's like Europe now is a classic example. No, why would you want AC? That's only for the Americans to have AC. You're killing the planet. You're causing global warming. You're being selfish. What do you care about being comfortable? How dare you care about being comfortable? How could you be so selfish like that? And so you're a virtuous person because you're suffering in the heat. Hell, you may even die in the heat. I'm not kidding. That's the attitude. Meanwhile, you got old people dying. You've got babies dying. You've got people, disabled dying. Thousands and thousands and thousands. That's just in France. Never mind in England and Germany and all these other places where they're getting heat wave after heat wave. So, in other words, they don't want us to be in a car. As I said, either bus or bike. So what are we heading? We're not going forward. We're going backwards. Do you know what an accomplishment it is, honestly, to have meat? Look, if people are vegans or vegetarians, God bless you. It's not a criticism, honestly. But for most of humanity, the quest has been for meat. Why? It's rich in, protein. It's rich in minerals and nutrients, and it satisfies. And that's why salt was so important, the desperate search for salt. Why? It wasn't for the taste, although that came later. It was to preserve meat. So you can actually, you kill a cow and it'll last you more than, what you eat. So this drive that we can actually buy meat, have meat, preserve meat, it's one of the great, great benefits of civilization. It's why we live so much longer. It's why we live such healthier lives. And they want to ban us from eating meat. I'm just giving you example after example. They want to ban cars. They want to ban eventually fossil fuels, oil and natural gas, which powers the modern world. They want to ban air conditioning. They want to ban planes. Not for them, but for us. AOC said eventually we have to ban planes. Planes emit too much CO2. So you want to ban air travel? You know what an achievement air travel is for modern civilization? So this is what communism is. And look, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be insulting. Honestly, the one thing I notice when I travel to Europe, people there, and I'm being honest, they don't smell as good as Americans or Canadians. They don't shower as often. They just don't. They don't bathe as often. And part of the reason is you go there in the summertime and there's no AC. You sweat like a pig. So you're sweating all the time. You don't want to use your washer and dryer because that also emits CO2. So many Europeans will wear underwear for a couple days. They just do. They wear the same shirt for a couple days or the same pants, even though it's been, saturated with sweat. They're discouraging people from taking a bath or a shower because that also, is bad for the planet. By the way, toilet paper, they only want you to use 2 sheets when you go to the bathroom. Okay, when you do the number 2. Like they make fun of Americans that we use up a lot of toilet paper. Yeah, we may use up a lot of toilet paper, but, we come out there smelling good. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to be gross. It's 7:10 in the morning, but I'm just trying to explain to you, that's why when Americans go to Europe, I always say the best thing you can do is send your child to Europe. They'll come back and say, wow. We have it so much. We take so much for granted. We have no idea what a higher standard of living we have. And most of it is self-induced by the Europeans. This insane green socialism. Here, final point. The World Cup. By the way, Team USA was magnificent yesterday. I saw the game. I mean, honestly, they played almost a perfect game. All right, I'm really excited about Team USA. The boys are doing us proud. But let that go. The story of the World Cup. Yes, Team USA is doing great. That's a big story. But the real story is all of these World Cup fans from England, Germany, Scotland, France, all over, Denmark, Norway, take your pick. They're coming in from Japan, South Korea, Argentina. They're all like, wow. They are marveling at America. All of them, one after another. all of these millions of fans coming saying, our media's been lying to us. What America is, who Americans are. They go, we've never seen such prosperity. Our grocery stores, Walmart, Target, 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. Zoran Mamdani, in the midst of this heat wave, is now telling New Yorkers, business owners, anybody, you live in a home, an apartment, doesn't matter, you have to keep the thermostat at 78 degrees or else we're going to overload, he says, the power grid. And so he's now telling New Yorkers, if you can believe it, that basically be uncomfortable. Stay hot in your own home. Don't put the AC down to 75 or 73 or 72 or 70. Let me ask you, is it the mayor's place to micromanage and tell us what temperature we should put in our own homes or in our own businesses? That to me is point number one. Point number two, do you think he puts his thermostat at 78? I'll bet you anything you want. No way in hell. This guy has it at 70, 71 tops. Tops. So we suffer. He and his ilk don't. And the larger point, one of the key platforms or the key planks of the socialists of a Democratic Socialists of America's platform, one of their key planks, all of these socialists now that are winning primary after primary, is they want to ban air conditioning in the United States the way it is banned in much of Europe. Should we ban AC? The left says it's causing global warming. It's leading to more man-made climate change. And we just simply should suffer under heat waves or when it gets extremely cold in the wintertime. Don't put the heat on too high. In other words, ACs are killing the planet. Should air conditioning be banned? I say these people are insane. You want to talk about being anti-science? They're not just anti-science. They are anti-human and anti-personal freedom and anti-liberty. AC is one of the greatest inventions ever. It saves lives, and it makes people a lot more comfortable. And to me, that's a mark of progress. For them, it's something to be ashamed of. Agree, disagree. David, is it Charlton or Charleston, Mike? Charlton. All right, David in Charlton. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. First off, God bless you, your family, and your radio team. Thank you for protecting us like you do every day from the evils of communism and everything else.
My pleasure. Thank you, David.
So I'm an electrician, and I do quite a bit of work with HVAC companies. And one of the more popular things these days, as you might know, is smart thermostats like the Google Nest thermostat. And I have installed dozens of these things over the past, probably hundreds over the past 5 years. And about 3 or 4 summers ago, you can have Mike look it up, in Texas, they were having a power shortage brownout type situation. So somebody in the government went into the backdoor programming server of the Nest company and locked everybody's thermostat at 76. And you can't go any lower, my friend. No, no, no. Not for you. We have a problem. We're in control. We're taking control of the situation. It only lasted a couple of days, but it just proved that the infrastructure is already there for people with smart Wi-Fi thermostats. I won't have one in my home. So it's already there. We're looking at it. Just somebody needs to pull the lever or push the button, so to speak.
David, that is a very important piece of information. And I do remember that story, and I know you're 1,000% accurate. David, I've got to ask you this. How is it the government's business to basically control your thermostat in your home and say, you know what, David, 76 is good enough for you? What if, I'm generally quite often hot. I am. I mean, anything to me above 74, 75, and I'm really uncomfortable. Ashton is the same, my son. Grace is a little different. Her body type is, she likes things a bit hotter. We like things much cooler. But people are different. Who are they to tell you that 76 is good enough? Because you know what they're going to do next. Then it's going to be like in Europe. Well, then 78 is good enough. Well, then, okay, you can do with 80. Well, 82. Well, 85. And then they're going to say, well, if you can do with 85, you don't even really need AC. That's, it's like boiling a frog. So that's obviously what they're going to do. So, and eventually say, no, you don't need AC. I mean, if you can live with 85 degrees, then what's the problem? Just as they say in France, shutter your windows or put cardboard on your windows. And there you go. So, David, I got to ask you, where did the government get ever the idea that they can tell you, me, or anybody what's the right temperature in our own home? What say you?
It's nobody's business but our own. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, like everybody said. It's our business. Now, granted, you could have a public service announcement on the radio with a TV that says, hey, for the next couple of days, could you put it up a couple degrees? Everybody play nice, please, and thank you. But to actually mandate it or to go in the back door of the server room and set it for you, no. That's just not right. That's unethical, if you ask me.
Oh, it's totalitarian. It's totalitarian. You nailed it. It's communism, fascism. I don't care. Take your pick. Of course it is. You're absolutely correct. No, look, and they're doing it for everything. Do you really need to drive that much? Now they want to control how many miles you drive. I don't know. Do you really need to have two cars? I think you can get by with one car. Do you really need to, do you have to have, 5 pairs of pants? You can do with 2 pairs of pants. That's communism. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to ask all of you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Would you move if your city banned air conditioning? In other words, if Mamdani gets his way, AOC gets her way, all of these new DSA socialists, communists that are getting elected, following what's happening in Europe, they want to impose the European socialist model on us to ban air conditioning. Would you move if your city banned air conditioning? A, yes. B, no. I'm a yes. I mean, I have to put the house up for sale. I'm not saying I could do it right away, but yeah. I'm not going to bake in the summertime. Can you imagine no AC with the weather we have outside right now? I mean, it's dangerous. Seriously, it's dangerous. You better believe it, I'd leave. I'd move in a heartbeat. But that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN as in National ER. You can also vote via X. And yes, I was active on X last night. My handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, at the Kuhner Report, KUHNER. This is a really good text. By the way, you can text the Kuhner Man, 70470, 70470. It is from 603. Jeff, it has been very interesting over the past few weeks to watch all of the videos that European tourists have posted online documenting their trips to America to follow the World Cup games, including the wonderful Scottish visitors drinking all of the bars in Boston dry. The reactions of these tourists as they experience what American life has to offer has been fascinating. I agree, by the way. I completely agree. And 603 continues. The size of our stores and the selection of products, the amazing styles and variety of foods around the country, the size of the portions. But there was another thing that a lot of these tourists cited, and it was the fact that we have air conditioning in all of our businesses, and how wonderful it is to experience that relief from the summer heat. Jeff, I didn't hear one tourist complain about the AC we have here. In fact, on the contrary, they loved it. Well, yeah, of course they love it. Who doesn't love AC in the midst of a freaking heat wave? Or when it's, 95 or 100 or 110 degrees outside. Human beings used to really suffer. As I said, many die under these conditions. And it's incredibly uncomfortable. People are miserable. And you've got air conditioning. It's a great solution. And these idiots in Europe, and now these communists here in the United States, the idiots here, they want to ban it. You. If you don't want AC for yourself, for whatever reason, go ahead. If you like living in a sauna, that's your business. But don't force it on the rest of us. Bob in Newton. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Morning.
Hi, Bob.
First of all, the same people who are saying that there's not enough power and electricity for my AC are the people who want to take away my gas car and make me drive an electric car. If there's not enough power for the AC, you sure can't power my car.
Oh, touche. Bob, touche. Keep going, my friend. You're on a roll.
The second, people talk about limousine liberals. And I think with Bernie Sanders and the rest of them, we've got two other variations. We've got corporate jet commies, and we've got mansion Marxists. I'll talk about turning down my thermostat when Bernie Sanders rips the AC out of his 3 homes, and when Obama rips the AC out of his 3 homes, and Ro Khanna rips it out of his $3 million home. Then we can talk about my AC.
Bob, what do you make of Mamdani telling everybody in New York, businesses, people living in their homes, apartments, you got to keep that thermostat at 78. You can't put it any lower than 78. Bob, you think Zoran? You think he's got it on at 78, Bob?
Lower than that in both places, in Gracie Mansion and in his multi-million-dollar condo that he has.
I guarantee it.
But this is, they have the story about slowly turning up the heat on the frog in the pot. That's what they're doing here. They're slowly turning up the heat on people. But
literally.
Yeah.
Bob, do you think this push now by these radical socialists, these communist insurgents that are winning these primaries, and they're gonna win some of these races because these are deep blue states or deep blue jurisdictions or districts. When the American people find out that they want to ban AC and rip AC units out of their homes or apartments, do you think the public is going to go for it? Or do you think they're going to turn on them like a pack of jackals?
I hate to say it, but I think there's a big part of the population that will go for it, that will go along with it. The people who feel guilty about driving, they don't feel guilty about driving their car. They feel guilty about you driving your car. And, I would have thought that having a Nazi tattoo would mean that, people in Maine wouldn't vote for you, but they are. So, hey, if they're doing that, they'll vote for the guy who tells them no AC.
Bob, brilliant call. Happy 4th, my friend. All the best to you and your family. Mark in Medford. Thanks for holding, Mark. And as always, welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy 4th of July to you and everybody at the studio.
Thank
and your
you.
Family.
All the best to you and your family, Mark.
I hope you light it up like you've never lit it up before, Jeff. So anyway, I think I need a refresher course, Jeff, on what a dictatorship means. Because, I don't know, when Joe Biden was president, Jeff, we were told we won't be driving any gas vehicles by 2030. Okay, so you're going to force us to buy electric when we don't want to buy electric, or some of us don't want to buy electric. Then there was, Jeff, remember, you won't be able to have a gas stove in your house anymore.
Yes.
You're going to be forced to use an electric stove. And now you got Maura Healey telling us you're not going to be able to drive so many miles anymore because we're going to keep track of it. And now you got Mayor Mamdani, moron Mamdani, telling people to set their thermostats at 78 degrees. Does he not know how hot it gets in a New York City tenement apartment at 78 degrees with your thermostat? I think he should spend this weekend in a New York City apartment, which averages, around 700 square feet, if you're lucky, okay? And I guarantee you, Jeff, that by the weekend end, there'll be buzzards floating around his apartment building because of the stench of his dead body sitting in there.
Mark, you raise a very actually brilliant points across the board, but I got to ask you, you touch on it, dead bodies. The Europeans, I led with it in my monologue, but you got to look at the numbers. 1,500 dead, 2,000 dead, 3,000 dead, like in a week in Paris or in London or in Berlin. You're talking tens of thousands of people dying of excess heat because they don't have AC, or they're not allowed to have AC, or they're being told not to put on AC, so they don't. Mark, how could Mamdani be so reckless to tell people to keep the AC thermostat that high when especially with a lot of elderly people, vulnerable people, let's say obese people, whatever, people with different, physical or biological makeups, you're going to get them killed. Is he naive and just stupid, or is he a sociopath? What say you?
He's both, Jeff, but I think he's a sociopath more than he's naive and stupid. Like you said, Jeff, you know full well that guy is not sitting in his house or at City Hall at temperatures set at 78 degrees on the thermostat. And you know something, Jeff? What are you going to do, moron Mamdani, if you say you have to do it or else? What are you going to do? You're going to call the AC/thermostat police on me? Go F yourself, you moron. Seriously?
Mark, have a wonderful 4th of July. I'm sorry, but sometimes that's the only answer. Blank off. What? Excuse me? What? What did I say? I've been saying this for years, right? What did I say? I said soon they're going to be telling you how to have sex with your husband or your wife or your partner or whatever. I want to read this text from 781. By the way, again, the text number 70470. 70470. And it's from 781. And it is so true. We take AC now so for granted. I was born in 1969. So I relate to this text because when I grew up, really until the late 70s, don't quote me on this, but I think it was 1978 or 1979. I was maybe, 9, 10 years old when my dad bought an AC unit. And, then you just put it in the window, and he put it in the bedroom where he and my mom were. But the way he set it up, because my room was adjacent to his room, so he would have us sleep on the floor, like when it was really hot in the summertime, June, July, August, like with sort of, like a mattress on the floor. We put our mattress on the floor or whatever. And so my sister and I would sleep she'd sleep in her mattress. I sleep in my mattress. We'd have it on the floor, and it would be next to my parents' bedroom. So we got a little bit of the cold air from the AC coming in. And I remember, because I remember as a boy, those, really humid, hot, sweltering summers, especially summer nights in Montreal, where we'd have the windows wide open And it didn't matter. 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And you're still like, oh my God, it's insufferable. I'm sweating like a pig. I can barely, I'm sweating like crazy. I can barely sleep. It's so hot. And just what a relief. How much I loved AC. I'm like, oh, I can finally sleep in the summertime and be comfortable. So I remember when my dad got that unit, it was like a huge upgrade in our standard of living. I don't know. It's like somehow we arrived. You know, we were like, I don't know, the rich, the wealthy. We were just a middle-class family. But like, wow, we've got AC. Yeah. Well, I just want to read this because I remember I went to school. And when I went to school, there was no AC. I mean, later, yes, it was a fan. Some classrooms, there wasn't even a fan. But some of the classrooms, they had fans. And I thought just having the fan was like, oh, this is great because it was so hot, especially May, June, before the school year was out. And so this text brought back a lot of memories. Jeff, actually, we Americans are spoiled. I grew up in the 1960s. We had no AC, just a big window fan. Schools had no AC, just a big oscillating fan. I remember clearly getting in my friend's father's big fancy car that had air conditioning. First time that I remember AC. It was like being with the rich and famous. I hear you, 781. I hear you. So I know what life was like before AC, mass AC, where homes were really starting to put AC units or, in the house or in a room or in a car. Believe me, it's no joke. So no one's going to tell me we should get rid of air conditioning. You have no idea what you're asking for. Tim in South Dennis. Thanks for holding, Tim, and welcome.
Like I love my AC. How are you doing this morning?
I'm very good, Tim. Tim, buddy, what do you make of all this? Now Mamdani and AOC and Bernie and the Democrats, now they want to come after our AC, Tim.
Log, maybe not even realizing you hit the nail right on the head. What this is really all about, it's not saving the planet, it's population control. I mean, look at who's being affected the most: the elderly, the ones that are dying, young children, the disabled. I mean, the left, this is the party of abortion. This is the party of euthanasia. So it's no surprise. I mean, Mamdani, I'm not surprised. He's the one that let homeless people freeze to death just 6 months ago in the blizzard. I don't care what happens to them. See, they're afraid if the population gets too high, the problem with that is too many people, there's room for dissent. It's like when the Ottoman Empire ruled the Middle East for 400 years. They never invested in things like sanitation, hospitals, schools. All they cared about was keeping everybody in line. And the way to do that was to keep the numbers down. Because too many people, there's room for dissension, for rebellion. I mean, I'm going to email you something later. I think I did once, but I want you to know, like in Canada, they have something called medical assistance in dying.
Yes.
Apparently, their version of the VA has offered that to their veterans who have called because they have PTSD from their combat experience in the global war on terror. I need help. I have depression, whatever. Well, have you considered medical assistance in dying?
Oh, no, these people are sick. No, Tim, you're absolutely right. These people are absolutely sick. And, Tim, it's on two levels. And I'm going to give you the final word, Tim. But by the way, I think you're on fire. Number one, it is population control. I think there's no question. These are people who fanatically believe, because of climate change, global warming, that you need to reduce the population. There's just too many, as Bill Gates openly said, as Soros has said, as Klaus Schwab has said. okay, as Hillary Clinton, as Obama. I mean, I could cite you as Kamala Harris. All of them have said, there's just way too many people on the planet. 8 billion is way too much. And when you press them and you said, well, okay, what's an ideal number? What's, in their words, what's a sustainable number? The highest you get is 1 billion. Most say 500 million, the whole planet. So that means they have to reduce the Earth's population by 7 to 7.5 billion people. I mean, that's a fact. That's the World Economic Forum. It's right there on their website. That's Soros, in pamphlet after pamphlet, brochure after brochure. That's Gates in interview after interview. This is Obama. This is Hillary. This is the Clinton Foundation. They hold conferences. And so the high end is 1 billion people, and the more preferable end for many is 500 million. Well, if you got to kill 7 billion or 7.5 billion, that's a lot of people to kill off. And one of the ways you do it is you impoverish them. You immiserate them. And they'll just start to die off slowly. Just bit by bit by bit. It's obvious. And that's another reason why they keep pushing abortion, because that's a form of population control. But then there's a second level, and I think there you're really completely correct. If you want to control a population, you make them poor. You don't make them rich. Someone who's working middle class, genuinely working middle class, is very hard to control. Well, why? Just think about it. You have disposable income. You want to buy a computer, you want to buy a laptop, you want to buy an iPhone, you want to buy multiple newspapers, you want to buy a radio, you can get informed. You can get different sources of information. You can travel. You have money to contribute to a political campaign or maybe even run for office. You see? But if you're absolutely poor and you own nothing, and everything that's given to you is given to you by the government, not only do you rely and you're completely dependent on the government, but let's say they give you a laptop. Well, it's their laptop. And they control everything that's on that laptop. What you can see, what you can't see, where you can go, where you can't go, what sites are permitted, what sites are canceled or censored. So a middle class, working class population is an independent, free thinking, free minded population. They don't want that. That's why you will own nothing and you will be happy to own nothing. You got disposable income. You can buy books. You can buy magazines. You can buy newspapers. As I said, you can get a laptop, and there are so many good news sites out there, different sources of information. They don't want that. So you're absolutely correct. If they're going to have a lot of people, they want us as poor as possible, because then you have a one-party state and they control us. And it's becoming so obvious now that I think it's almost undeniable. And so really, my question to you is this, because this is the direction they want to push us in. They want us to have AC is the topic of the day. But, they don't want us to have a home. They don't. They don't want us to have a car. They don't. They don't want us to, eat meat. They don't want us to fly a plane. They don't want us to travel. They want us in 15-minute cities. So they don't want us to have practically anything. And my question to you is this, Tim. As they make us poorer and poorer and poorer, as all we do now is work to just basically survive, because life is becoming so expensive just for the basic necessities, are people like Bill in Sudbury, Chris in Gloucester, okay, I'm just using them as an example, do they want to be poor? Because that will serve their party masters, the Democrats? Are they willing to give up all of the creature comforts, a standard of living, disposable income, things that have so enriched and bettered our lives because this is what like under communism, this is what the party demands of you? Or do you think that these Democrats eventually will rebel? That if you do go for their AC, for example, they'll say, you know what? I'm not baking in the summertime. I'm not going to do it for Zohran Mamdani or Bernie Sanders or, Kamala Harris or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, knowing that their AC's at 70. Because that's their offices, that's their homes, that's what they have on. So are they willing to sacrifice and live poor, primitively, for the good of the party? What say you?
Absolutely bought the party line. Whatever they say to do, they will goose step along. They will not ask any questions. Being this is the 250th anniversary of America, I love America. This is the best nation the earth has ever seen. And Jeff, it may not be perfect, but I would much rather be imperfect in America than perfect in one of these other communist socialist hellholes around the earth. If people don't like it, go to Cuba. Go to North Korea. This isn't Cuba in the 70s where we shoot people trying to leave. It's like, you want to go? Go. No one's going to lose any sleep over it, but the Bills in Sudbury and Chris in Gloucester, they will do what they're told. They will keep voting for these people. They will goose step along.
Tim.
They'll keep yelling, thank you, sir. May I have another?
Tim, I'm telling you, dude, you really hit the nail on the head. Tim, today was, fire, fire, fire. Tim, as always, thank you for your service and have a wonderful 4th of July. God bless you and your family, Tim. He's 1,000% correct. They're goose steppers. If the party tells them to, chuck the AC, they'll chuck the AC. If the party tells them don't eat meat, they won't eat meat. If the party tells them to freeze in the wintertime, they'll freeze in the wintertime. If the party says get rid of your car, they'll get rid of their car. Whatever the party demands, they will sacrifice because they're zombies. 617-266-6868. They're what they call loyal soldiers. Jerry on the Cape. Thanks for holding, Jerry, and welcome.
Comrade.
Comrade, how are you, my friend?
I am cool. Jeff, I've got my AC set. I've got 27,000 BTUs in my house set at 61 degrees.
Wow, Jerry, that's... hey, buddy, you can do whatever you want, but that's a little cold for the Kuhner, man. 61?
I love it.
Really?
I'm hot all the time.
Well, that's okay. You don't, like, I would get sick. I would get a cold.
Yeah.
That's like a freezer. That's almost like a freezer for me, Jerry. But hey, buddy, to each his own, So 61, wow. Do you have that all the time, 61, or is it just like in a heat wave?
Wave.
Oh, just in a heat wave.
Like right now, it's 76 degrees here, and the dew point is 75.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like tropical here.
Okay.
Anywho, Jeff, let's harken back. Remember when you first came to Boston?
Yes.
Remember you and I had a conversation about progressivism and liberalism, and I said, no, they're communists? Do you remember that?
Well, we've had so many over the last 15 years, comrade, but I do know you kept making that point adamantly for years before now everyone is caught up to you.
Also, do you remember what else I told you? That the American communists thought that they were going to perfect communism here, but it hasn't worked in Russia, China, Cambodia, Laos, any of these other countries, but yet they think that they're smart enough and good enough to perfect it.
Yes, I do remember that. And by the way, that is their line now. That's exactly what Mamdani said in an interview. Because they said, well, socialism, communism, it's failed everywhere else. And his answer was, yeah, but it's going to work in America. In other words, it's just, again, comrade, it's just not the right people. It's just, you got to get the right people. It's not the principles. It's not the system. It's not the philosophy. It's not the worldview. It's just doggone it. It's just, Lenin quite couldn't get it right, or Castro just couldn't get it right, or Stalin or Mao or whoever. But we're going to do it. We're just smarter than them, and somehow we'll make it work. It's never worked, but we'll make it work. That's their line now as they're running and winning primary after primary.
Minister to the EU in that interview that she blamed the United States for climate change?
Yes.
She blamed us. Oh. And did you see that other nut, Vanessa Kerry, John Kerry's daughter? Jeff, you got to see the video of her. Oh, my God.
What did she do this time, comrade?
She was trembling talking about climate change.
Oh, like she's so afraid? She's so afraid that the world's going to come to an end?
Yeah. Eyes bugging out of her head. You got to see that video, Jeff. Look that one up.
Jerry, I got to say, I feel sorry for them. I really do. They are so brainwashed and so indoctrinated, and they're so hysterical. They really believe the world is coming to an end. And that, the fever, the planet has a fever, as Al Gore said. And you're right. I mean, they're like lunatics howling at the moon, yelling, the end is nigh, the end is nigh. It's all, we're going to be dead now. No, this time it's really it. No, this time really it's it. And when you calmly say, do you know how many heat waves Europe has had going back 1,000 years? In fact, there was a giant warming period 1,000 years ago, much warmer than anything we've had in the last 100 years. And they're like, what? And they go berserk. They go absolutely berserk. It's like confronting a Muslim fundamentalist. And you say, well, Muhammad didn't talk to Allah. You know that, right? There was no Allah. He was hearing voices in his head. That's the left. When you give them countervailing evidence, they go berserk. They melt down. That's why I've said this, comrade. Liberalism is a pseudo-religion. And their church is the Democratic Party. And their pope is Barack Hussein Obama. Jerry, thank you very much for that call, and a wonderful Independence Day to you and your family, Jerry. Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Bill.
You make it sound like Mandami thought this up. You know that they've been asking us to turn it up on the worst days for like 40, 50 years. You understand that mayors, not only Mandami, all across red states, Texas, you know why? Because it's the most basic, sensible solution to those very worst days. Asking everybody to cooperate and use a little bit less doesn't cost anything.
Well, it costs me a lot. What are you talking about? It costs you my comfort. Why should I sweat like a pig? I pay a ton in taxes. I pay energy costs through the roof because Maura Healey won't build pipelines and is trying to push wind and solar, which has been an absolute disaster. And she's trying to phase out fossil fuels. So I'm paying outrageous energy bills that is slowly not just bankrupting me, but bankrupting most middle working class people. Look, Bill, we're not all on welfare like you. We're not all getting subsidies from the government from taxpayer money like you. Some of us actually work for a living and have to pay full freight for everything. So let me ask you, I want you to be honest with me now. Is your thermostat at 78 degrees?
No, but it might be in the middle of the night.
No. Relax. What is your thermostat at now?
My thermostat currently is probably like 74.
74. Okay, so there you go. Well, come on now. It's the common sense thing to do, Bill. It's the right, humane thing to do. Put it up at 78. But you see, even you, a phony and fraud like you, even you keep it at 74. So if you keep it at 74, and by the way, I think it's lower than 74. Yeah, I bet you it's 73 or 72. Okay, but let that go. Okay, I'll for the sake of argument, I'll give you 74. If you're at 74, what do you think Mamdani is? You think Mamdani's at 78?
Longer surprised when the mayor or the governor or the president on the worst day of the year.
Practice what you preach. We're in the midst of a heat wave. You're telling me to put it up to 78, but you have it at 74. Getting in that 4th of July spirit, my friends. Looking forward to the 4th. Nice long weekend. Fireworks. Nice cookout. Spend time with the family. But really going to take in 4th of July. 250th birthday. Let's celebrate America because we have so much to be grateful for. 617-266-6868. So there you have it. Okay, Bill in Sudbury, Moonbat's Moonbat, and you press him, and he says, no, I don't have it at 78. We're in the midst of a heat wave. And, like, now's the time for all of us to pull together. Okay, well, do you have it at 78? No. By the way, I don't believe him at 74. I don't believe him. Okay, I think he knew it's more like 72. So he says, well, let me fudge it and go up a degree or two. You phony, you fraud, you. So no, put it up to 78. Come on, do your part. It's incredible. It's just incredible. So, look, if Bill in Sudbury doesn't have it at 78, you think Mamdani has it at 78? Game, set, match. Bob in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. How are you, Bob?
Good. Happy 4th of July.
Same to you. All the best to you and your family, Bob.
And happy birthday, America. Listen, a couple of real quick things. So the EPA building, the headquarters in Washington, D.C., is massive. It's the biggest building you'd ever see. 24/7, 365. Lights are on every single office all day, all night. I checked into this a couple of years ago. The AC is running all the time. In the winter, the heat is at a very comfortable temperature all year round. This is the EPA now. And Michelle Wu, about a year and a half ago, signed off on like 15,000 low-income housing buildings to be built, all with AC. And don't forget she's advertising her cooling centers right now for people to go to where there's, guess what, AC.
Well, what happened to climate change, Bob? Bob, the planet has a fever, global warming, all the CO2 emissions. Bob, what happened?
Change is still here. Climate change has been going on since the beginning of time. It's nothing new. It happens, And how about when the record set? Oh, we're going to have 105 degrees, breaking a record in 1915. Oh, they had global warming back in 1915. I didn't know that. So, yeah. Anyway, a bunch of hypocrites.
Oh, it's just incredible. No, you're right. Bob, look, let me ask you this, because, and by the way, you're absolutely spot on every point. The illegals, now say what you want about them, okay? Say what you want about them. But the illegals, when they come here, they want their AC. This stuff may work in Paris and in London and in Berlin with the guilt-ridden white liberals over there, the Europeans. Oh, let's suffer for all of our sins, let's suffer. But when you bring in these illegals, no, they're not going to put that thermostat at 78. No, they're going to put it at 68. And the Dems have to service the illegals. You mentioned the cooling stations and stuff, the cooling shelters that Michelle Wu is setting up. I'll tell you, the AC is not at 78, 80. I guarantee you that, Bob. So, Bob, do the Democrats now have a problem? Because if they're trying to ban AC or, put it up to 78 or 80, I don't think that's not gonna fly with the illegal aliens they're putting up at all these apartments and low-income housing projects or in the hotels or the migrant shelters, the Healy hotels. Bob, I think we may have a revolt on our hands. What do you say?
I hope so. God, I want to revolt. I've been waiting a couple of years for a revolt. Let's do this. But Jeff, let me just say this, though. Let me just say this. I'm a conservative white guy, Republican. I voted for Trump in all 3 elections that he won. And I'm going to tell you this much right now. By the way, I'm married to an immigrant, legal, but came here from another country back in the mid-'90s. But, Jeff, you know what? I have compassion and feel bad for illegal immigrants. And just hear me out. Not the criminals and stuff, but if I had 3 children and lived in a poor country and the President of the United States told me, come on, we'll take care of you, guess what I'm doing? I'm going to the United States with my 3 children, taking care of them. So the only person I'm pissed off is President Biden did this to these people.
Oh, you're right.
These people should be up in arms.
Bob,
these people should be up in arms.
You're dead on. No, really, you're right. Biden deserves the blame. He does. Because, no, you're right. Let's be human beings about this. Look, I'm for a secure border. I don't want illegals coming into our country, especially unvetted. I believe we're a nation of laws. But if we're going to be human beings about it, look, if I'm living in some, third world country in a shack or a hut and then living in grinding poverty, and the president, not of Denmark or France, which is also, these are first world countries, but the president of the United States, the wealthiest, prosperous, freest country in the history of the world, frankly, the greatest country in the history of the world. And he says, hey, come on down. The door is open. I'm welcoming you. You can also text the Kuhner Man 70470. This is from 508. Jeff, prior to coming to America, illegal aliens had no air conditioning and simply dealt with the weather and the climate. But once exposed to the technology of air conditioning, who in the hell would ever want to go backwards? No, you're completely right, 508. That's why, really, I was kind of being a little bit tongue-in-cheek with Bob, the previous caller, about, Democrats have to service illegals. Because Bob was making the point about how, even at the EPA, their building is, it's cool all year round or hot all year round, low-income housing by Michelle Wu or, Maura Healey, 10,000 apartments, 15,000 apartments. They're all loaded up with AC. Well, yeah, that's because, a lot of those apartments are going to go to illegals. And when it comes to the illegals, nothing but the best. And the illegals, believe me, they like the AC. They know what it's like not to have AC. So they insist on air conditioning. And, of course, free food, free furniture, free rent, free health care, free everything. But the AC, that's a must. So if these Dems keep pushing this radical climate agenda, this radical Green New Deal, and openly calling now for banning air conditioning, I don't think the illegals are going to go for that. They could have a small rebellion on their hands if they're not careful. Nikki in Bradford. Thanks for holding, Nikki, and welcome.
Jeff, I just want to thank you. Every time I call you, I remind you that my doctor says my husband and you are the reasons I need blood pressure medication. So I appreciate the fact that it's a less strenuous topic today, and I can take it easy for the holiday weekend. Let me just say, as far as AC goes, and I tell my husband this all the time, they can take my central air from my cold, dead hands. I will love AC until the day I die, and my hands will be cold because I will have my AC on for the rest of my natural-born life. You're a couple of years older than me, but my parents got an AC around the same time. They got 2 window units, one in mine and my sister's bedrooms and one in their bedroom. And I remember I thought we were going to be on the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Between that and a little blow-up pool in the backyard, I thought we were living large. So,
that's so funny. We had the blow-up pool, too, in the backyard. And I swear, my sister and I were like, wow, we're living large. Honestly, we're like, boy, Mom and Dad came to the new world, and we're really living it up. But so your parents got 2 AC units, not 1.
List of 5. At that time, there were 3, 4 of us, depending on the year. So I'm sure my grandparents bought at least one of them because, my parents were kid poor and house poor when they started out, like everybody. So, I'm sure my grandparents got it. But, I've lived a little house on the prairie life where you had to sweat your rear end off in bed and
I remember.
Wake up in a pool of it. I'm not doing that again.
I'm with you.
No.
Oh, I'm so with you, Nikki. Nikki, I've got to ask you, and I want you to finish your point, obviously, but I've got to ask you, this radical push now to ban it here, and we see the disastrous, really the deadly consequences in Europe. You know, we're not talking, to me, one death is one too much. Please don't misunderstand me, but we're talking thousands are dying. Thousands. This heat wave alone, you're looking at about 61,000 across Europe. 61,000. Okay, so, you know, France is several thousand. England, you know, the numbers add up. Are the American people going to put up with this? Even liberals. I mean, we had the phony Bill in Sudbury call in. Even he says he's, you know, I think it's lower. But anyway, even he says he's got it at 74 degrees. So if the Dems really go all in on this green ideology, as the European liberals have, do you think even their own voters will put up with it? Or do you think they're going to have a political revolt on their hands?
Change election day to like the heat of summer, and then they can decide in the polling booth. Maybe that'll help them a little bit. But how anyone can watch what's going on in the news? I mean, they claim to be so informed on everything that's going on in the world. Like, how can they think that that would be a good idea for us? That is absolute insanity. I got in my gas-powered Jeep with the top down because it's a beautiful day out. I'm at the beach in Maine. I'm going to go home to 72 degrees and take a shower and live my life. God bless America.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's our country in a nutshell. And greatest country in the world. Nikki, God bless you. Give my best to your husband, the other guy who's giving you high blood pressure, and have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Take care, Nikki. Okay, bye-bye. 617-2. I'm with her. You're gonna pry the AC out of my cold, dead hands. I love AC. I'm serious. I love it. Love it. One of the greatest things ever invented. Honestly, that and fast food. But let that go. Peter in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Peter, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, I'm going to speak for myself, but I got to know, your electric bill comes in. Does Grace or you take care of it?
Well, how do I say this, Peter? I'm being brutally honest with you, like I'm in the confessional. Our family is essentially a constitutional monarchy. I'm the figurehead as the, quote, man of the house, and I put that in quotation marks. In theory, I'm the boss, but like a constitutional monarchy, the prime minister, Grace is the prime minister, the finance minister, the defense minister, the interior minister. So everybody humors me. In theory, I'm the boss. In reality, she controls and runs everything. So I know about the bill, but Grace pays the bill, if you understand what I'm saying.
Just to your attention, Jeff. You know what? I think it was last summer. My carrier is National Grid. I have no idea who
yes.
you guys set down.
Yeah, National Grid. I have National Grid as well, Peter.
Are you aware that they went around and put smart meters on everybody's home?
Are you serious?
No,
No, this is news to me, Peter. On everybody?
That's where they're going. And the smart meter, it used to be if they wanted to shut your power. I went to a Voc school, so I got a lot of buddies that are electricians and stuff. The old way of doing things was if they wanted to shut your power off, they had to come out with a glass meter on the side of the house. They'd have to break the seal and then pop it out. It's like a giant plug. Well, the new smart meters right now, all right, they're watching everything that you're doing. And now I have no idea, and you might want to talk to your lovely wife about it, but you get notices on how you're doing with your electricity, and they compare you to other people in your area, so neighbors, who's doing good, who's doing bad, and whatnot, and then whatever. And so, I mean, the thing that I'm worried about is, like, you know what? If they want to control the electricity, they can do it by the push of a button. They don't have to have a technician come over to your house anymore. People, the AI and all this no cash apps for everything. no, it's going to equal no people. And you know what? I just didn't know if you were aware of that. The smart meters that they're putting on the side of your house is they're basically watching you through Wi-Fi.
That's incredible, Peter. I can't thank you enough. This is how seriously I'm taking this. When I go home, that's the first thing I'm going to ask Grace. Sweetheart, I call her Gorgeous. That's my nickname for her. I go, Gorgeous, are you do we have a smart meter? And I bet she's going to say, duh, yes, where have you been? And then the kids will pile on, really. And they're like, Daddy, that's what they're going to pile on. And don't you know anything what's going on in the house, Daddy? Ashton and Ava will pile on. And, so I can't believe it. So basically now they can cut me off whenever they want for any reason. Like if they say, Kuhner man's using too much energy. You know what? Kuhner man, what the hell is he doing in the summertime? I have it at 73 in the house. 73, that's too much. He's using too much power. We're going to cut him off for a couple hours. I mean, look, Peter's completely right. We're ceding our independence and our autonomy, our freedom all the time. And this digital stuff is going to kill us because we're losing more and more control. And that's why I'm against the digital currency, by the way. I hate digital currency. I love cash. For many reasons, I love cash. But one of them is it's my money. It's in my pocket. I can spend it on what I want. And the government can't track it. And the government can't cut off the funds. You see, the problem with the digital currency is if it's all digital, well, then, literally one press of the button and no, your funds are frozen. But it's my money. Well, too bad. It's frozen. What are you going to do about it? So at least with cash, I mean, sure, it's, you carry it around. You're always worried somebody may, mug you and take your money. But, nothing is perfect in life. But at least with the cash currency, with cash, here's my money. Here's what I want to spend it on. Get lost. So to me, a digital currency like digital anything. So apparently everything Peter said is not 100. It's 1,000% correct. So this is from 508. A friend of mine who I trust impeccably. Jeff, my smart meter will be installed on July 7. I spoke to the guy when he arrived a week or so ago to tell me about it. And he said there's no way around it. It's mandatory. The utility has made a command that I must obey. Wow. Okay. It's not just, it's EverSource, it's National Grid, it's everywhere. And so apparently, this is from 617. Jeff, not only are they putting smart meters on everyone's houses, if you don't do it, they will charge you. I'm getting two figures, $29.99 or $26 a month. So I'm getting two figures, either $30 a month or $26 a month. Okay, so let's just go low, just to be on the safe side. So as 617 says, Jeff, so not only are they forcing them on everyone, but if you refuse the smart meter, they will charge you $26 a month. Holy mackerel. And by the way, many of you, I'm flooded now with text messages saying, no, Jeff, what Peter said is right. I have a smart meter. They just installed it. And they said apparently they are getting letters, all of them, comparing like a rating system, comparing how much energy you use to your neighbors. And many of you are saying you're getting letters saying you use more than your neighbors. And they're giving you tips on how to, lower your energy costs and use less energy, etc. But, look, I'm not saying this is the end of the world here. But is it just me? You want to talk about a violation of privacy? It's my business how much power I use. Why should I know if my neighbor or neighbors are using more power or less power or the same amount of power or energy? Look, again, it's not like they're peeking into the bedroom. But I'm just saying, like, it's none of your business. It's not the government's business or the utilities business, but it's not my neighbor's business or my business how much power they use or how much power they don't use. I don't know. Am I wrong? 617-266-6868. By the way, I got a text message from Grace on my personal cell. Jeff, yes, we do have a smart meter on the house. It was installed last year. Honestly, do you listen to me when I talk to you over dinner? I told you this last year. And we also, apparently, Grace says, and yes, we're often told we use the most energy of anybody on the street. So they're telling us that we're using way too much power, and they're giving suggestions on how we can reduce our costs and use less energy. So there you go. So, you know, when Grace is upset, she says honestly. But she says, you know, honestly, that's the smoke coming out of her ears. That's her Italian temper. So, you know, and by the way, her and the kids do say I don't pay attention enough at the dinner table. You know, I don't know. Maybe I have things on my mind. Did it ever occur to them? You know, I don't know. I'm busy. You know, under a lot of pressure. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm human. 617-266-6868 is the number. John in Lowell. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff.
John, how are you, buddy?
Good, Jeff. Three things. Maybe it's the heat. I generally don't like to be petty. But whatever happened to Comrade John?
You want me to call you Comrade John?
Well, Jeff, you know, I am the original. Let's admit it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Comrade, and by the way, you are the original. You're completely right. Comrade John, how are you, my friend? Comrade, how are you?
Wunderbar. I have two things for you. The second one is of muy importance. First of all, I am all for getting rid of AC and what it does to the planet, Jeff. And I'm dead serious.
Okay, why?
Because every time Ocasio-Cortez opens her mouth, it pollutes the atmosphere.
Oh, you were waiting to drop that one, huh, comrade? You were waiting to drop that one. Hey, what's your second point, my friend?
Why are they not complaining about the amount of energy and waters that these data centers use? You have every citizen that's near one being built screaming at the top of their lungs, but they pushed them to anyways. Name me one politician who stepped up and said, hey, we got to stop this. Not one, Jeff, but they're worried about our little air conditioner and how far we drive.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, that's brilliant. Comrade, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And comrade, let me ask you this. Notice the elephant in the room. You know, the Europeans, the deputy mayor of Paris, they're blaming us for global warming. They're blaming us for the heat wave. They say we use too much power. We emit too much CO2, blah, 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 blah. Notice they never blame China. China, by far, is the number one, forget the number one polluter. Okay, that goes without saying. The number one emitter of greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, whatever you want to call it, CO2, the number one contributor to quote unquote climate change. It's communist China. The Europeans never say a word about them. The left in this country never say a word about them. And not only that, comrade, they are building one coal-fired power plant a week. Not a month, a week. One coal-fired power plant a week. And the communist Chinese, by the way, have said 60% of the homes in China have air conditioning. They say in 5 years, they want 90% of the homes in China. That's 1.5 billion people. They say 90% of the households in China will have AC because Xi wants to deliver on higher, living standards for the Chinese people for the communists to stay in power. So, they don't want to bake in the summer. And Xi said, don't worry about it. You'll have all the AC you want. I'll put it in almost every home, and we're going to put coal plant after coal plant after coal plant to get all the energy we need. So notice, and by the way, India is second. India now they're all into AC as well. I don't blame them. They don't criticize China. They don't criticize India. Apparently, I read this, what was it, yesterday, that the United States and Europe emit only 3% of carbon dioxide in the entire world. 3%. That the two biggest carbon emitters are China and India. And then you have Brazil and other countries. But apparently us in Europe, a measly 3%. So we have to give up our little AC unit. But the communist Chinese can have all they want. The Indians can have all they want. The third world can have all they want. I mean, it's disgusting. Comrade, am I wrong?
Well, Jeff, what does that tell you? It tells me who's financing their campaigns. And Trump himself said it with these new communists. Now, Jeff, this has got to stop. Jeff, I've told you before, I'm starting to question him then, because he has clear evidence, he said, of China contributing money to these campaigns.
Yes.
Okay? Now, these people should be immediately arrested for treason. Why are they not, Jeff? Jeff, you have to really think about these things. I know we all thought he's going to save us and this and that. Jeff, I'm not seeing it. It's real simple. Put the DOJ on it, show the people the evidence, and go scoop their rotten, evil up.
Comrade, I'm with you. I'm with you all the way. Comrade John, I want you to have a wonderful 4th of July. All the best to you and your family, comrade. And God bless you, my friend. He's what I love about Comrade John, he's a truth to power kind of guy. You know, he just says it as it is and let the chips fall where they may. Look, it's come out. I mean, this has been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. The Chinese Communist Party, along with one of their favorite American billionaires. He's an American. He lives in Shanghai, a little bit in Beijing, but he lives in Shanghai. He is a huge Maoist. He's not just a fan of the China communist regime. He's an admirer of Mao. The greatest mass murderer of the 20th century. Actually murdered more people than Stalin and Hitler. And his name is Neville Roy Singham. Singham. You can look him up. And it's his money and CCP money that is pouring into the Democratic Socialists of America. So all of these candidates that won in those New York primaries, the candidates that won in Colorado on Tuesday, Mamdani, you can run down the whole list. By the way, now it's the new mayor of Washington, D.C. is DSA. The next mayor of L.A. is DSA. Many members of Congress now that are going to come in on the Democrat side are DSA, Democrat Socialists of America. They're swimming in CCP money. They're owned by the Chinese Communist Party. They're essentially a front for the Chinese Communist Party. And Neville Singham is now right up there with George Soros as one of the big sugar daddies of the far left of the Democratic Party. And by the way, that's why, if you notice, they never criticize communist China. Ever. Like the point I just made now. Well, you care so much about the climate and carbon emissions and ACs. Well, who's building more ACs than China? No one. Who's got more coal-powered plants than China? No one. I mean, if you care about the climate, if you're serious, China's the number one perpetrator. They don't say a word. You know why? Because they're owned lock, stock, and barrel. 617-266-6868. Paul in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Paul, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. How are you this morning?
Very good. How are you, Paul?
Good. Hey, Jeff, 2 points. The first one, I find it very ironic that the target of death for the lack of air conditioning is the elderly. Isn't it ironic? The young and up-and-coming communist politicians, they want to get rid of the old people. What better way to do it? But more importantly, the reason I called, as a retired police officer, I want to tell you a little story. I got into law enforcement in the late 70s, and initially there was no air conditioning in the cruisers. And when we finally got it, it was like hallelujah. But you know why they put air conditioning in cruisers in the late 70s, which is well before most cars had it? You're familiar with the Watts riots in the 60s, right?
Yes.
And there was the Watts Commission to determine what caused the violence and the police brutality and all that.
That's right.
That
in the inner cities, the eruption of violence and rioting in the inner cities. Yes.
Things the Watts report brought forward was how critically important it was to air condition police cruisers in order to keep the police officers cool during these heat waves. So when they'd roll up on a domestic or a hot call, pardon the pun, they'd be cool and be able to deal with it. I mean, that's how important air conditioning was. They realized that, they had to put air conditioning in cruisers.
Oh, Paul, I'm not surprised. I mean, that's a very important, very interesting and important piece of information. But I'm not surprised. Look, just use common sense. And again, it's because people are so used to AC because we're such a wealthy country, we take it for granted. But look, again, I remember when I was growing up, no AC. Those summer nights, when you're that hot and your parents are that hot and your neighbors are that hot and everybody on the street is that hot, when people are that hot, they're irritable. I mean, they're just in a bad, foul mood. They're angry, just naturally angry. And petty fights break out, and then petty fights become big fights and serious fights. And one of the things about the 60s was they said, whenever they had a massive heat wave in some of these really poor areas, they said, we fear rioting. Why? Because now they're really upset. Why? Because they're all burning up. They're burning up. And so anything will set them off. So we take it for granted that we have AC in the cars, AC in office buildings, AC in our homes. By the way, the poorest Americans, okay, I'm talking now, you live in public housing and you're on welfare, have air conditioning and, of course, heating. And they have a TV and they have a computer and they have a fridge. And the biggest problem for many of them, it's not a criticism, I'm stating a fact, is obesity. They give a lot of food stamps. A lot of it is the junk food. But the point is, the poorest Americans, to show you how great of a country we are, have conveniences that people would kill for in most of the world. Computers, laptops, flat screen televisions, fridge, freezer, AC, heating, food, abundance of food that you're overweight. I could go on and on. Furniture. I mean, you could just, that's what that's a poor person. That's poor, living in a ghetto. So, but getting back to your original point, Paul, you're completely right. It calms down the police officer because you're not, you're hot, so you're upset, you're irritable. But it also calms down, the areas you're policing. And by the way, in Europe now with this heat wave, what do you think is happening? Fist fights everywhere. Knifings everywhere. People are angry. People are irritable. People are shouting. People are fighting. Why? Because they're baking. Paul, final word to you.
One more last nugget of information. I didn't realize this until I worked for an HVAC company a few years back. There's 2 degrees between comfort and discomfort for a person. And now that's why you talk about Grace likes it a little warmer, you like it a little cooler. If you exceed that 2 degrees in either direction, you're uncomfortable. So that's how finely tuned our bodies are. And so anything, so if your comfort level is 72 and it hits 74, you're uncomfortable. So it is critical. It's
really so
important.
true. Paul, I got to tell you, 75 for me is almost unbearable. Like heat, like in the summertime. If someone sets the AC at 75, let's say I'm usually prepping downstairs in I call it my pleasure palace. Ashton calls it the man cave. So Ashton and I share, a big office downstairs. He has a video game. He has one side. I have my computer, my desk. So, as he's playing video games, I'm show prepping. So it's usually cooler downstairs because it's the basement. But when I go up to my, to the next floor, and I go up to the bedroom, and it's 75 degrees, honestly, Paul, I'm hot. Like, I'm hot. I can't sleep. I'm hot. I'm uncomfortable. That's why I keep it at 73. So that's 2 degrees. And if I put it to 71, it's too cold. I'm freezing. I can't sleep. It's too cold. So I know you're right because I can experience it myself. Paul, dynamite call. Really good stuff. Kim in Brighton. Thanks for holding, Kim, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, Kim.
So I wanted to add in to this conversation. I think this is just crazy what's happening in Europe and how people tolerate it. But to the point of other callers, yes, they want to get rid of the old people. And it's never what you think it is. It really isn't about saving the planet. It's about control and looking to the government for direction on how to live your life and every single aspect that is going to be controlled. As an aside with the smart meters, they should be avoided at all costs. Mostly I'm in New Hampshire, but I would pay to not have one of those because they emit radiation, and that's very dangerous. Radio frequency of constant pulsing, so that's number one. But the privacy. So the government and these agencies can know everything about you when people wake up, how many people are there, when you go to sleep, and it's a total threat to liberty. And it's the same thing with the light bulbs. Why can't we have incandescent? I bought a lifetime supply of incandescent. I don't have any LED. I don't like them. And they also flicker like fluorescent. But to sacrifice our comfort, for people to believe the lie that if we sacrifice our comfort and we don't have air conditioning and we're miserable, somehow that's going to be a good thing. If they can get people to actually believe it, that's, in my opinion, why we are where we are. I mean, here we are, we're cutting off children's genitals, men can have babies, and I think this is part of an entire plan, and COVID was the beginning. You had to get a shot or you had to wear a mask to protect other people, and that makes no sense. Like if I don't take a vitamin, you're going to get sick. If I don't have vitamin C, you're going to get a cold. And nobody questioned that. So people should ask, how does having it at 78 help anybody? I have my air conditioner at 68. If I go to a hotel, I have it 65. I don't see how that helps anybody, and people should ask that question. If they were really caring about the environment, our food supply is basically poisoned with glyphosate and pesticides, and nobody asks any questions. But the smart meters, the government would have the power to shut you down, and that's the entire goal. So that if you don't comply or you don't pay the right amount of money or you don't spend your money the right way, they can shut you down. It is ultimate control. And I don't understand why people aren't up in arms about that. I will resist at all costs, and I will pay more not to have it.
Kim, I could not agree with you more. I think you're completely right. And, as you were talking, I'm just thinking of the stories I was reading last night. There's a 68-year-old woman. This was in Paris. She lived by herself, an elderly woman. Everybody said, very nice, just a wonderful woman. Massive heat wave, as you know. And the neighbor said, we just wanted to check up on her. We haven't heard from her, seen her. They go upstairs. She's dead. She's dead. She was lying sitting on a chair, whatever, and she just, I guess, fainted, passed out from the heat, and eventually died. And people are shaking their heads, and they're saying, an air conditioner would have saved her life. And I'm like, the Europeans have lost their minds. Just super quick, because lines are, on fire. So I want to go right away to John in Malden. But just quickly, this is a brilliant text from 603. And it's in reference to, National Grid, Eversource, whatever, these power companies with their smart meters saying, you're using too much power. Or you're using more power than your neighbor is, or energy. And, here are tips on how to, use less power and less energy and lower your costs. And 603 to me makes an absolutely stupendous point. Jeff, so a power company is telling you you're using too much energy? Question mark. I thought they were in the business of selling electricity and making money? Question mark. Would McDonald's tell you you're eating at their restaurants too much and giving them too much of your money? Would Walmart tell you that? Or would they encourage you to spend as much money as possible at their businesses? High electricity use equates high electricity bills. Isn't that the business model that keeps their businesses afloat? Question mark. Am I missing something, Jeff? That's a great question. Like, I'm thinking, like, why is Eversource, in this case, National Grid, why is National Grid, in my case, sending me, apparently Grace says it's all the time. You're using more power than your neighbors. You're using much more electricity. Apparently, she says they even break it down by hours. Apparently these hours during the day or these hours during at night, you're using twice as much consumption of this or that than, say, this neighbor or that neighbor. I'm like, dude, don't you want me to spend more money? I mean, don't you want my money? So what's it to you? If I have the AC cranked at 73 all day and it's costing me whatever, $1,000 a month or whatever it is, and the person beside me is trying to save money and has the AC on, let's say, only half the day or whatever, well, don't you want more money? Aren't you guys in the business of making money? Or is there something else going on? That you have another, more nefarious agenda, which is you don't want me using electricity. You don't want me using power. 617, and by the way, brilliant analogy. Has McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or, hey, Kuhner, man, we see you every Friday here having 2 Big Macs, a large fry, large Diet Coke, because you're watching your waistline. I get it. But the 2 Big Macs, maybe you should just have 1 Big Mac. Better for your health, better for your diabetes, better for your waistline. I've never heard that from a McDonald's manager. Hey, Kuhner, we don't go to Walmart, but the kids like Target. So sometimes I take them to Target, as they say. Kuhner, I see you here with Ava or your Ashton. You guys are always buying something here at Target. Maybe you shouldn't buy so much. Save money, put some money away, keep it in the bank. I've never had that conversation. Never mind sending me a letter after letter after letter. John in Malden. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. Morning to everybody.
Hi, John.
Callers. I remember back in the old days about going to school and being hot as ever and have to deal with that stuff. And today, I'm up in age. I'm going to go and get some sun and try to deal with the hot weather as best I can. It's just a matter of that's what's going on right now. I know electricity, all that stuff. Everybody's talking about it. It's a horror show, but what can you do? They want to kill us all. That's what climate control is. Climate control is what they want to do. Perfect movie to see is Kingsman: Secret Service. Perfect movie, and it talks about it, and it's like up-to-date stuff. And I'm telling you, it's scary. Some of these movies you watch, it's happening now, and it's scary. But just got to deal with it. That's how I look at it, and that's how it goes. I'm just, like I said, I'm waiting for the guy to come and service my AC unit, But I'm just sitting here and just waiting. So but I'm in a cool house, but it's I'm gonna go to the old ways.
Yeah, no, John, please stay cool. I mean, really, it's going to go up. What is it, 100 degrees? But they say with the humidity, it may be like, what is it, really 106? Or that's dangerous heat. I mean, yeah. Look, I rarely panic over weather. I'm not even saying panic now, but that's hot. You want to be careful, especially if you're older. Drink a lot of water and try to stay as cool as possible. And I do hope you get your AC unit fixed as quickly as possible. Apparently, the heat wave will end by Saturday, and the temperatures will be much more normal. But look, John, I'm with you. Everybody should have AC if they want AC, obviously, but especially elderly people, because you read these horror stories in Europe, it's heartbreaking. It's truly heartbreaking. You're talking about people otherwise healthy. They're just 70, 75, 80 years old or whatever, and it's too hot. It's just too hot. What a horrible way to die. I mean, think about it. Just like you bake to death in a first world country where, what is it, $100 for an AC unit now? I'm not saying I gotta get something super fancy, but, a unit that they could easily afford. And they're being prevented from buying it. And one of these crazy heat waves, and now you're dead. It's so senseless. Honestly, it's insane. There's no other word. It's insane. 9:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. I was just asking Mike a very simple question. On July 4th, for the famous barbecue cookout, are you a hot dogs kind of a guy or a hamburgers kind of guy? And his answer to me is both. He says, Jeff, I'll load up my plate with a nice, a couple cheeseburgers, a couple of hot dogs, a couple of beers, and I'm a happy man. I'm like, no, okay, Mike, I get it. Yes, of course, ideally you have both. But some people prefer hot dogs. Some people prefer hamburgers. For example, my kids are pestering me. We often have cheeseburgers for, like on the grill. They don't want cheeseburgers. They're saying for the 4th of July, they only want hot dogs. They're like, Daddy, please, let's just have hot dogs. And Grace makes homemade French fries. So please, Mommy's homemade fries, and we'll have hot dogs, and it'll be a great 4th of July. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. But I mean, we got to run it by, the big cheese. We got to run it by Grace. And because God forbid I should have authority in my own house, But anyway, let that go. And Mike won't give me a straight answer. I'm like, Mike, really, this is not, the fate of the world is not on the line here, Mike. Is it, do you prefer hamburgers or do you prefer hot dogs? And all I keep getting from him is both. So he won't answer a simple question. I don't know what else to say. 617-266-6868. Allison in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Allison, and welcome.
Boy, hi, Jeff. Boy,
hi,
I gotta tell. I was doing a bank drop the other day for the company that I work for, and they were talking about, oh yeah, the guys over in London with the furry hats. I think they're the beef eaters, the Royal Guard. Yeah, they pulled them from the lines because it's just too darn hot. But then I'm thinking, well, geez, our boys at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, they don't disappear even for a hurricane or anything, and that's for a dead body. But the Brit boys, they just run for cover when it gets too hot, and it just really made me proud to be an American. That we protect the dead body no matter what, and as a citizen of New Hampshire, live free or die. Boy, you try to take my AC from me, which I keep at 62 degrees, you're going to have a hell of a fight on your hands. Like, no matter what. No kidding, we won the war, Like, wow,
Allison, I got to ask you, 62. I know Comrade John said, no, it wasn't Comrade John, it was Comrade Jerry. Comrade Jerry said 61. Now, is that you like it at 62, or is it, your partner / husband? Is it your partner your husband that likes it at 62?
I like it at 62, but yeah,
You don't find that?
Take that from me, and you're gonna get some. I'm gonna find some fight in me.
No, God bless you. Hey, listen, you can put any temperature you want. That's the pursuit of happiness, But Allison, all kidding aside, you don't find that too hot? I'm sorry, you don't find that too cold? Like 62? That for me, that's almost like a fridge, like a freezer.
out of the single digits, then I'm good. Like, I chisel the ice off my car when I go to work, and then I deliver car parts, and then I got to chisel it again at work. No. But doesn't that tell you something? No kidding, we won the friggin' war, you know?
You know, Allison, not this World Cup. I think, Mike, was it the previous World Cup or 2 World Cups ago? You would know this. We played England, and it was 0-0. It ended up, that was the last World Cup. Okay, so that was the one in 2022. And, and the English are very good at soccer. I mean, then we weren't as good. We're good now, but we weren't that good in 2022. And so it was an upset. I mean, I know it was a draw, but, England was expected to win. So the score was 0-0. And the American fans were really teasing the English fans, saying, "You haven't beaten us in 250 years. You guys can't even beat us at soccer." Allison, on the 4th, are you hot dogs or hamburgers? I mean, since Mike, speaking of, he's too afraid. I mean, I don't know what he thinks is going to, he's going to get sued by the hot dog industry or the beef industry. So anyway, Mike is too afraid to give me a straight answer. Do you prefer hot dogs or hamburgers on the 4th, Allison?
Hot dogs and relish, and I'm considering, though, doing MREs up on the Kangamangas, the Kangamangas River.
I'm with you, Allison. I love a nice hot dog, relish, mustard, a little bit of ketchup, throw in some raw onions. Mwah! Perfect. Allison, have yourself a wonderful 4th of July weekend. God bless you. So Mike is in my ear. Apparently, one of the commentators said about what the state of Massachusetts. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So when England played, England played Ghana. What was that, Mike? Maybe a week ago. So basically about a week ago, and they were playing at Gillette Stadium. And by the way, the game was a draw. England again was supposed to win, but Ghana, played better than expected and ended up being a draw. And the announcer said, "Boy, Mike, how did he phrase it?" Yeah. England has historically struggled here in the state of Massachusetts. Meaning, we kicked their ass in Lexington and we kicked their ass in Concord. And we didn't stop kicking their ass. Victor in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Victor, and welcome.
Good morning, America's talk show host.
I love the gusto you say it with, Victor. Victor, do you like AC? Do you use AC? And do you think the Democrats are going to succeed in trying to ban air conditioning?
Oh, the Democrats will try, but there's going to be a big backlash if they try it. I remember the smart meter back about 10, 15 years ago, and I was asked if I wanted one. I said, "You got to be kidding. Those things do catch fire." And they left me alone, so to speak. I used to get calls saying that I should cut back on my AC. I told them I'm a seasoned citizen and I need to keep cool. Are you trying to kill me or something? You're using a lot less electricity. And I said, for one thing, I'm blind and I don't watch television.
Victor, I got to ask you, what is it to them if you use AC or not? If you want to stay cool in the summertime, that's none of their business. Why do they not want you using that much, or so much air conditioning? Did they give you a reason?
No. I don't get calls anymore from Pepco about my use of electricity.
Good.
I guess they more or less gave up on me.
Good.
But Yeah, today in the D.C. area, it's supposed to reach 102 degrees, and it's going to feel like 115, 120.
Oh, yeah, 115, 120 with all the humidity. I mean, Victor,
Exactly.
I don't need to tell you how humid the whole Washington, D.C. area is. It's like a swamp. Okay, it is a swamp. D.C. was built on a swamp. So, of course, you better have AC. Really, I don't know how you can survive in D.C. without AC. So, yeah, you want to kill people, take away their air conditioning. And down the stretch we come. Brian in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Brian, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. No, I've already transferred the digital. They did it about 2 months ago. But I have solar panels, and I have $3,000 in credit. I don't know what I'm supposed to use that credit for, but so the thing is, that if they cut my power, it doesn't matter. I produce more power than I think. So I'm protected from them switching it off.
So, but you have this. They put on the smart meter, right, Brian?
Yes, they did.
Wow. Did they at least tell you about it, or did they just do it?
They just did it.
To me, that's just incredible. I mean, it's just incredible, really, you know?
Right. Well, you have to remember, okay, as I don't know if you ever saw.
Brian, you're breaking up on us. Go ahead. Sorry. If I ever saw what?
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy? I mean, I heard of it, but no, I never saw it.
Oh, you have to. It has Terry Crews in it, and it has a bunch of other things. So one of the things is that stupid people produce more than smart people. So that by the 24 something, everyone has an IQ of 16. Okay, and they use Gatorade as water for the plants, because guess why? Because there's electrolytes in it. Okay.
So you're basically saying the movie's premise is the future is a society populated with Bills in Sudbury. That everybody is a Bill in Sudbury. Ay, ay, ay.
Right.
Ay, ay, ay.
No, it is very it is very funny. But the thing is that this is the main problem. Okay, as the founding father said, a democracy can only survive if it has an educated populace, and we don't have an educated populace. Okay, too many stupid people are affecting my paycheck. Period. End of story. So my view about IDs. Forget about the IDs. How about an IQ test? Okay, all right. For you to vote, you have to have some form of intelligence that you just can't say I vote for a D or an R. You have to have an actual reason for it. But that would never pass because the Democrats would never get elected.
Brian, have yourself a wonderful 4th of July, my friend. And by the way, there used to be literacy tests in the United States and in other countries as well. In other words, are you basically literate? In other words, is there kind of their version of an IQ test? And now, forget it. Because you're right. You do something like, if you do an IQ test, basic IQ to vote, who would vote for the Democrats? Just think about it. Andy in Milford. Thanks for holding, Andy, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Andy.
Jeff, happy 4th of July to you, Dr. Grace, and the kids. Obviously, the celebration of America 250 is going to be an ongoing affair, but we did it. We survived 250 years as a constitutional republic.
Andy, all the best to you and your family. Andy, I don't mean to rush you. We've got 2 minutes left. You may be the last caller, so let her rip, my friend.
Okay, Jeff. What all this is it's green communism. That's where all of this is, and what needs to happen is the Massachusetts net zero mandate just needs to be repealed outright, and also all the anti-communist policies of the 1950s just need to be brought back, cold stop, the late Senator Joe McCarthy, in spite of all his flaws, was right. And we just need to ban both communists and Muslims from serving in public office in this country. Enough is enough. Red is still red, and that's what we need to do.
Andy, I said on X yesterday that if we don't beat back the globalists and the radical left, we're not going to see another 250 years in the United States. We're just not going to survive another 250. Very quickly. Am I wrong?
You are 1,000% correct, Jeff.
I agree with you. No, Andy, again, thank you. Have a wonderful 4th of July. Look, my friends, I'm going to repeat what I said on X. I love this country with all my heart and soul. I really do.